I want to start by saying thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening and tuning in to my story. The sun just poked around through the clouds, and I just poured myself a cup of tea and had the pull to set up the camera that I've been avoiding. I finally have the setup. I have the microphone, I have the beautiful lens and Fujifilm. And so now it's just gaining the courage to share what has helped me and to be vulnerable for everyone to see. But if 2020 taught me anything, it's that vulnerability can be felt across the screen, in Zoom calls, in yoga classes, and it's needed right now. There's so much pain circulating in the world, and we see it so quickly because it's at a touch of the finger and it's at a scroll downwards. And so I just wanted to add a little bit of pleasure, add a little bit of happiness, add a little bit of curiosity into your daily habits, into your daily mind, and share what I've been working on and what I've been doing. So we'll get started. The first thing I wanted to share is sort of where we're going to go today. And this book, In the Flow, by Alicia Vitti, I think that's how you pronounce her name. Her first book is Woman Code, and that was the starting point of my journey. When I found that book, my entire life shifted. And I say that today because I was sitting down for lunch and I had prepared bone broth. And I have gone back and forth from the vegan to the vegetarian. And I usually tell people that I'm a flexitarian, that I eat what my body asks for and try to tune in with that as my guide instead of following these rules. But her books have really shaped my eating habits. If you have not, go on the internet and Google Woman Code food chart, and it'll line up different foods that help support you during different times in your cycle. And you know that feeling when you eat something or you taste something and it's just like, oh, it's like deep nourishment. It's like, oh my God, the heart starts to get all nice and warm. And that's how I feel when I eat based off my cycle. Like I'll just have certain foods during that time of the month that just spark this like warmth and this nourishment that my body had been asking for. So highly recommend checking out her food chart. I love it so much. And I'm coming on here because I also have felt sort of shy from sharing that I went back to eating meat after being vegetarian, and feeling like this imposter syndrome, maybe you could call it, or just this maybe shame around it as well. But really, I didn't have a choice. My body was not functioning with me just eating vegetables, and so it was my body telling me that I needed to find that elsewhere. And so I think explaining that, and also recognizing that we can bring so much sacredness and awareness when we consume animals, just by the way that we prepare it, by the way that we honor it, whether that's saying something out loud or just saying something in your heart before, and then using it to its full potential. And what that means for me is I bought a chicken last week and I roasted it with a bunch of vegetables and honored it in this beautiful way by spending an entire day preparing it. And then I ate the entire chicken over the week. And now all that was left was the bones. And so I put the bones and some herbs and I boiled it with some water for an hour while I was practicing and teaching yoga. And oh my goodness, just being able to taste the ending of that entire week of nourishment has just really been profound. And I think that's me just extending that it doesn't matter for me, I'm saying this. It doesn't matter that I'm eating meat. It's the awareness and the sacredness and rituals that we can bring into everything that we do, whether that's sitting for tea, whether that's a yoga practice, or whether that's making breakfast. And I think along with In the Flow and Woman Code being a huge part of my healing journey, I think these last few months of sitting for tea, I've been now sitting for 6 months, is that habits really are rituals. And the only way that we can change behavior in like what we do, we have to start with those small tiny changes, like making your bed every morning, getting up and going for a walk if that's for you, brushing your teeth, and scheduling that, or just like knowing that you can keep coming back to it. And I've just needed to bring so much more awareness and sacredness to those things. So I just wanted to say that, going off on a little bit of a tangent, but so for Sunday at 10 a.m. we have the full moon. Western astrology, it's in Libra. And the balancing, I always think of Libras as that balancing act. And we're still in that springtime. The flowers are just starting to bloom. And yeah, what are you still planting? I know that I am trying to warm up more and more to the virtual world of sharing, of presenting, of hosting. And it's a little bit scary, but this is definitely the first step in coming on here to chat with you, to open the conversation around my diet, and then to also go into the reason why I want to share. I have been eating gluten-free. I think I have enough time, like 3 minutes left. I have thought, I was under the impression that my body was telling me that I could not eat gluten and dairy. And so for the last 4 to 5 years, I have been on and off avoiding it, and obviously having slip-ups because rituals and habits and sacredness is hard with our bodies and our minds. And so, yeah, I just recently found out at the start of this year that I'm not allergic to gluten. I'm not allergic to dairy. I have candida overgrowth. And I have a sugar monster. And it's from my childhood. And it's been around this entire time. And it is sort of scary to think about handling because sugar is in every single thing. And I think it's connected to a lot of childhood stuff that I'll have to deal with along the way. But I think why I want to share it is that we can inspire each other and we can be the change. And there's so much sugar in the world that I can promise you I am not the only one that needs to hear these things that I'm going to have to tell myself. And me having to watch it over and over and over again in a video form, I think is going to be the ultimate way for me to heal from this, because sometimes we have to be our own cheerleaders, and maybe that means posting it vulnerably on the internet so that I can call on y'all to help me kill the sugar monster that has caused me so many symptoms over the years. And I'm very grateful that I finally have an answer. I know that the healing will come. It will just take time and have patience. But I wanted to share that with you, that this is what I will be sharing on this type of platform. You can comment, like, subscribe, all those things that you're supposed to do as a YouTuber. And I'll be back. So I want to close out this space with 3 breaths. So we'll inhale, reach the fingertips all the way to the sky. Take a big breath in, stretch up. And then exhale, hands to heart center, bow the head. I'm just thanking that higher, brighter version of yourself for finding you here. And then another breath, inhale, reach up. Exhale, hands to heart center, bowing to all the spirit animals, the animals on the planet, Mother Earth. Last one, up and around. Exhale, bow to our ancestors that came before us. Thank you.